Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel.
Hello, devoted fans of Port Charles. Intrigue, those endless twists that keep us glued to our screens. As the chill of autumn settles over the quirky coastal town, a storm is brewing within the Quartermaine mansion, one that promises to shake the foundations of loyalty and legacy. At the heart of it all lies Tracy Quartermaine, the sharp-tongued matriarch whose disdain for imposter Drew Kane has reached a boiling point. What started as a heated sidewalk spat has escalated into a life-or-death oversight, and Tracy's not one to let such slights slide. With Ned Quartermaine fighting for his life after a devastating collapse, Drew's cold indifference could be the spark that unleashes Tracy's most ruthless retaliation yet. Buckle up, because this feud is about to expose the Quartermaine's deepest fractures. Echoes from the past, when deception tested family bonds. Long before the Quartermaine dynasty tangled with Navy SEAL-turned-congressional hopeful Drew Kane, Tracy faced her own trial by fire within the family walls. Decades ago, in a dimly lit study filled with the scent of aged scotch and cigar smoke, her father Edward Quartermaine orchestrated a cruel charade to gauge her mettle. Feigning a cardiac episode right there on the Persian rug, Edward clutched his chest and gasped dramatically, his eyes twinkling with manipulative glee. Tracy, ever the pragmatist hardened by years of boardroom battles, hesitated. She knew her father's penchant for games after all. He'd once hidden investment papers in a false book spine to test her sleuthing skills during a corporate merger crisis. But this time, the stakes felt too real. Instead of rushing to his side, she withheld his nitroglycerin pills, watching him writhe as a lesson in vulnerability. It turned out to be a ruse, of course, designed to toughen her up for the cutthroat world of Quartermaine Enterprises. Edward later chuckled over brandy, admitting it was his way of ensuring she'd never show weakness to enemies. That incident, buried in the family's oral history like a forgotten footnote in their vast library of scandals, now haunts Tracy like a ghost from the family crypt. Fans who followed her arc since the 80s will recall how it shaped her into the ice queen we adore, fiercely protective yet unforgiving. Edward's test wasn't just about deception. It was a rite of passage, imprinting on Tracy the Quartermaine creed. Survival demands suspicion. She emerged stronger, but with a scar that runs deeper than any LQ stock dip. Today, as whispers of karma circle the mansion, one can't help but wonder if the universe is scripting a poetic reversal. Drew's blunder with Ned feels like destiny's mirror, reflecting back Tracy's own moment of calculated cruelty. Will she see the irony, or will it fuel her fire? In Port Charles, where grudges outlast marriages, this parallel could redefine her legacy. The sidewalk showdown, a collapse that changes everything. Fast forward to the crisp November air outside Bobby's Diner, where the scent of fresh coffee mingles with the salty harbor breeze. It was just another tense afternoon in Port Charles when Drew Kane and Ned Quartermaine locked horns over the latest LQ power play, something about undervalued assets in a waterfront development deal that Ned swore would bankrupt the family if Drew's innovative ideas prevailed. Words flew like daggers, Ned accusing Drew of being a Kane in Quartermaine clothing, an outsider masquerading as kin, while Drew fired back about Ned's outdated tactics stifling progress. The argument peaked with Ned's face flushing crimson, his hand pressing against his chest as he staggered and crumpled to the pavement, gasping for air amid the scattering leaves. Drew, with his military-honed instincts dulled by political ambition, froze. In his mind, it screamed fake out Ned, the master of corporate theater, pulling a stunt to discredit him in front of potential investors lingering nearby. He muttered something about not falling for it this time and strode away, leaving Ned alone on the cold concrete, his labored breaths echoing unanswered. A passerby, perhaps a loyal diner regular like Felicia Scorpio on her coffee run, finally spotted the scene and dialed emergency services. But the damage was done. Minutes lost could mean arteries clogged beyond repair. Paramedics arrived in a flurry of sirens, stabilizing Ned just enough for transport to General Hospital, where tests revealed a blocked coronary demanding immediate bypass surgery. Surgeons like Griffin Monroe, with his steady hands and bedside manner, prepped for the procedure. But the real operation might be the mending of Quartermaine trust. Contrast this with Tracy's own history of mercy amid malice. Not long ago, in the shadowy confines of Drew's home still echoing with the ghosts of his identity crisis, she discovered him bleeding out from a gunshot wound, courtesy of some shadowy Metro Court assailant tied to old Spencer vendettas. Despite her seething hatred for the man who she believes diluted the Quartermaine bloodline, Tracy didn't hesitate. Her fingers trembled slightly as she punched 911, barking orders at the operator with the authority of someone who's commanded boardrooms and bailouts alike. He's lost too much blood, get a team here now. It was a rare flicker of humanity, a nod to the lessons Edward's test should have taught her. Even enemies deserve a fighting chance. Yet, learning curves in Port Charles are slippery, and Drew's abandonment of Ned shatters that fragile progress. If Tracy views family as fortress, Drew just breached the walls. From French retreat to eventual return, Tracy's wrath unleashed. Picture Tracy now, lounging under the Provencal sun at a luxurious spa in the French countryside, her signature pearls swapped for a silk robe as she sips chamomile tea overlooking lavender fields. She's escaped the chaos of the Monica Quartermaine will fiasco, a tangled web of codicils and contested clauses that pitted siblings against cousins in a courtroom drama worthy of its own spin-off. The retreat was meant to recharge her batteries, perhaps plot her next LQ maneuver from afar. With nothing but the chirp of cicadas and the occasional call from Dylan checking on Dylan's latest indie film project. But tranquility is fleeting in the Quartermaine world. A frantic voicemail from Brooklyn, her voice laced with panic, shatters the peace. Ned's in surgery, and Drew's to blame. Tracy's face hardens like marble as she books the first flight back, her mind racing through a catalog of comeuppances. She's no stranger to revenge. Remember her sabotage of Luke and Laura's honeymoon suite back in the day, or the time she leaked faux scandals to undermine a rival's campaign. Drew, with his SEAL training and steely resolve, might think he's faced the worst in covert ops or election battles, but Tracy's arsenal is personal. She weaponized the family network, rallying Michael to freeze Drew's assets, enlisting Ned's wife Olivia to spread whispers through the Bensonhurst grapevine, even looping in old allies like Lucico for some metaphysical meddling. Upon landing in Port Charles, expect her to storm DH's corridors like a force of nature, her heels clicking ominously as she corners Drew in the waiting room. "You left my nephew to die on the street," she hissed, her eyes narrowing to slits. "Edward taught me to spot fakers' looks like you're the real fraud." This confrontation won't be a whisper. It'll echo through the hospital halls, drawing stares from nurses and visitors alike. Ned, post-surgery in a private suite overlooking the harbor, might even overhear the tirade, his recovery complicated by the emotional fallout. Tracy's rage could manifest in inventive ways. Perhaps she uncovers dirt on Drew's congressional run, like fabricated ties to a shady donor from his military past. Or she orchestrates a family intervention that strips him of Quartermaine privileges. The depth of her fury stems from more than oversight. It's a betrayal of the code she lives by, amplified by her own guilt over Edward. In this heightened drama, Tracy emerges not just as villainous, but as a tragic figure grappling with her reflections. Rock bottom and redemption. Can Port Charles feuds find resolution? As Tracy and Drew plunge to new depths of animosity, the Quartermaine saga teeters on the edge of implosion. Their clash could ripple outward. Straining alliances. Will Scout Kane, Drew's young daughter, get caught in the crossfire, her innocent questions about Uncle Ned piercing the adult's armor? Or might Jason Morgan, ever the mediator with his brooding loyalty, step in to broker peace, reminding Drew of the value of second chances from his own tangled history? Port Charles has seen stranger turnarounds, amnesiacs reclaiming thrones, presumed dead lovers resurfacing at Christmas galas. Drew, haunted by his inaction, could muster genuine remorse, perhaps visiting Ned's bedside with an apology, vowing to support his recovery through philanthropy or family therapy sessions orchestrated by Dr. Kevin Collins. Yet, in soap opera lore, bottoming out often precedes ascent. Tracy's vendetta might force her to confront her Edward-era sins, leading to an unlikely truce, or even a mentorship twist where she schools Drew in true Quartermaine resilience. Fans, this is your cue. How savage will Tracy's payback get? Will she exile Drew from ELQ gatherings or go nuclear with a public expose? And could Drew's change of heart redeem him in the eyes of the town? Next, devoted fans of Port Charles intrigue those endless twists that keep us glued to our screens. As the sun sets over the Quartermain mansion and the Metro Court buzzes with secrets, one storyline is heating up faster than a summer scandal: the elaborate charade between Michael Corinthos and Jacinda Bracken. What began as a desperate ploy to shield their reputations is evolving into something far more tantalizing, pulling in old flames, vengeful exes, and the ever-watchful eyes of the Corinthos clan. Could this fake romance rewrite the rules of love in our favorite coastal town? At the heart of this deception lies Michael's unyielding drive to protect his family's legacy. Picture this. After a string of shady business dealings tied to his father's empire, Michael finds himself under the microscope of the Port Charles Police Department. Enter Jacinda, the enigmatic former escort whose quick-wit and street-smart savvy make her the perfect partner in crime literally. Their alibi. A whirlwind romance that's been blooming for months, complete with cozy dinners at the Floating Rib and stolen glances during the LQ board meetings. To sell the story, they're ramping up the public displays. Think Instagram posts of sunset walks along the harbor, where Michael's arm drapes protectively around Jacinda's shoulders. Or a viral photo from the nurses' ball after-party showing them sharing a laugh over champagne flutes. But beneath the filters and hashtags, tension simmers. Michael's alibi is his lifeline, a shield against accusations that could dismantle everything he's built. Jacinda, on the other hand, tags along with less at stake. Her own skeletons from a brief, fiery fling with Congressman Drew Cain are buried deeper than most. Yet, as they rehearse their lines in dimly lit corners of Kelly's diner, sparks fly in unexpected ways. Michael's gruff exterior softens when he notices how Jacinda's eyes light up at simple gestures, like him pulling out her chair or defending her against a snide remark from a nosy patron. She's not used to the sears in the shadows of high society hookups have left her guarded, but Michael's genuine respect chips away at her walls. Imagine the scene. A late-night strategy session turns confessional, with Jacinda admitting her regrets over Drew, and Michael sharing vulnerabilities about his fractured marriages. In this vulnerable space, what if the ruse blurs into reality? Fans speculate that Michael's heart, long armored after Willow's betrayals, might thaw first, leading to a stolen kiss under the stars that neither can deny. And Jacinda. Her playful nudges, a lingering touch during a staged photo op could accelerate the fall, turning their partnership into a passionate pursuit neither anticipated. Of course, not every fairy tale in Port Charles ends with confetti. Their alliance wasn't forged in fireworks. It started rocky, with Jacinda eyeing Michael's proposition like a bad bet at the blackjack table. She hesitated, recalling how Drew's political ambitions once promised stability, but delivered only heartbreak and tabloid fodder. Michael, ever the strategist, laid out the blueprint meticulously, coordinated appearances at charity galas, where they'd mingle with the elite, whispering sweet nothings for the gossip columns. Joint interviews with the invader, painting them as Port Charles' newest power couple. Jacinda bought in, partly for the thrill, partly because Michael's vision offered her a rare shot at legitimacy, perhaps even a role at Crimson magazine to launder her image from escort to editor-in-chief. As they dive deeper, no layers emerge. Jacinda reveals a hidden talent for fashion design, sketching outfits for their dates that blend her edgy style with Michael's classic polish, creating looks that turn heads at the country club. Michael, in turn, confides in her about Wiley's latest milestone, a toddler's first steps that remind him of his own unsteady path. These intimate revelations build trust, but cracks appear when Jacinda's past resurfaces. A chance encounter with Drew at a congressional fundraiser forces Michael to improvise, pulling Jacinda close in a possessive embrace that feels all too real. Does this jealousy hint at deeper emotions? Analysts of the show point to classic soap tropes here. The unlikely duo who start as allies but end as soulmates, much like the early days of Sunny and Carly. Yet, with Jacinda's seductive history, questions linger: will she manipulate the growing affection to her advantage? Or has Michael's kindness truly won her over? As their story unfolds, expect episodes filled with charged banter, where every glance and gesture teases the line between performance and passion. Enter the wild card that could shatter their fragile facade. Willow Tate, freshly released from her stint behind bars and more determined than ever to reclaim her place in Michael's world. Stepping out of Pentonville feels like emerging from a nightmare for Willow, her time inside a harsh lesson in loss and resilience. She's rebuilt herself, channeling that fire into protecting her children, especially Wiley, the light of her life. So when she strolls into the Metro Court for a casual lunch, expecting a quiet reunion with her ex, the sight stops her cold, Michael laughing animatedly with Jacinda across a candlelit table, Wiley giggling between them as plates of pasta arrive. The betrayal stings like salt in an open wound. Jacinda, the very woman who once tangled with Drew and helped orchestrate the chaos that landed Willow in jail. Flashback to those dark days, Jacinda's alliance with Nina and the cover-up that exposed Willow's secrets, fracturing her bond with Michael irreparably. Now, with freedom in her grasp, Willow's protective instincts roar to life. She won't stand idly by while this homewrecker inches closer to her son. Her first move? A subtle confrontation at the table, her voice laced with ice as she questions Michael's judgment in front of the staff. But Willow's strategy runs deeper. She whispered doubts to Carly, rally the Quartermains against Jacinda, even dig into the escort's past for leverage. Picture Willow tailing them to the park, where Jacinda pushes Wiley on the swings, her face softening in a way that disarms even the most cynical viewer. Willow's rage boils. How dare this outsider play mommy? Yet, her attacks might backfire spectacularly. Michael's loyalty to his alibi intensifies under threat. He doubles down, escorting Jacinda to a high-profile LQ event where he publicly shuts down Willow's barbs with a firm, "This is my life now." In protecting Jacinda, Michael uncovers his own unresolved feelings for Willow, resentment mixed with lingering care, but the alibi demands allegiance. New plot threads could emerge here. Willow uncovering a forged document in Jacinda's backstory, or allying with Drew to expose the ruse, turning the drama into a full-blown custody battle. Fans brace for emotional showdowns that echo the show's golden eras, where family ties twist like vines in a storm. For Jacinda, this whirlwind is a double-edged sword, offering glamour she never dreamed of alongside the peril of Willow's wrath. Accustomed to fending for herself in Port Charles' underbelly, navigating shady clients and whispered rumors, being Michael's girlfriend feels like a velvet glove over an iron fist. When Willow corners her in the Metro Court ladies' room, hurling accusations of gold digging and manipulation, Jacinda stands tall, but inside, the barbs hit home. Enter Michael as her knight. He arrives just in time, wrapping an arm around her waist and declaring, "No one attacks my partner on my watch." That defense. It's intoxicating. Jacinda, who's spent years trading charm for survival, savors the novelty of being valued beyond her allure. Rumors swirl that she's plotting to extend her stay in the Corinthos orbit. Why vanish once the alibi serves its purpose? With her crimson gig hanging by a thread thanks to Nina's lingering grudge, Jacinda eyes permanence. Imagine her seducing Michael during a stormy night at the mansion, where thunder mirrors their tension, leading to a night of passion that blurs lines forever. Could she maneuver herself into the family fold, perhaps as the mother of Michael's next child? New inventions in this arc include Jacinda discovering a pregnancy scare false alarm, but enough to force a real commitment talk. Or leveraging her design skills, she launches a fashion line under the Corinthos name, binding her financially and emotionally. Willow's interference only fuels Jacinda's resolve. Attacks from the ex make her cling tighter, whispering temptations in Michael's ear about building a future free from past ghosts. But is it love or strategy? The show teases that Jacinda's heart might genuinely shift, especially as Michael shares dreams of a stable life for Wiley, drawing her into a role she's always craved, not just a lover, but a legacy builder. As these threads intertwine, Port Charles pulses with anticipation. Michael's alibi, once a mere shield, now threatens to upend alliances and ignite true romance. Willow's return adds fuel to the fire, her quest for justice clashing with Jacinda's ascent. Will the fake couple weather the storm, or will hidden truths unravel everything? Tune in to see if respect blooms into forever or if seduction seals a scandalous fate. Stay tuned, soap lovers! The drama's just beginning.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon. Bye.